I always say everyone's a teacher and everyone's a student. I genuinely feel like everybody can teach me something. We all walk so many different walks of life. I'm a big believer in experience.
And when you said that, you know what was going through my head? Burna Boy's tune. Dangote, still they find money.
There's always someone that can teach me something. Success is like impact on others, and that can be others that's in your family, away from family. Are you able to have an impact on others? Some people have gone through life and their life's work is charitable, where it doesn't pay that well, but the impact is huge. Success is all about impact.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Need to Succeed podcast, where we have incredible conversations with phenomenal entrepreneurs just to understand what is their need to succeed. Because here's the thing, two people can go through the exact same situation. One person decides because of that situation, they can no longer achieve the things that they want to achieve in life. The other person decides because of the exact same situation that they have to achieve everything that they have ever dreamt of. Same scenario, different outcomes. What is the mindset of a successful entrepreneur? And that is exactly what we look to uncover on this podcast. And today we have an absolutely incredible guest. He is absolutely everywhere. He's a property entrepreneur. He's a TV personality, a social media influencer. What else? I don't know. Like, what else? Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Bricks and Tips himself, Mr. Oguntonade.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for that introduction, man. Happy to be here, man.
Bro, I'm gassed.
I'm gassed, bro. I'm gassed.
Super excited to have you in here, bro. We're just a little something that we're talking about before the podcast started, and you kind of told me some of the plans that you had, and I was like, wow, that's incredible. And you were like, you think? I'm like, bro, we just what are we talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're doing some big things.
Do you know what? You'll get it too, though, because when you're so like focused in your work, you know what you're doing on a day to day, and sometimes it might be something that you might be saying to yourself that I should have launched this 3 months ago or 6 months ago. But when it finally does launch, everyone's like, right, Ibrahim, you're smashing it once again. Like, how do you even manage to do it? So you kind of set yourself to your own kind of like standards, and the things that you've done well in the build up and the things that you could have done a bit better in it. And I think that from having an entrepreneur mindset, most entrepreneurs, there'll always be room for improvement. Like, perfect doesn't exist in it.
100%. And it actually goes to show, the mindset of an entrepreneur, because you're like, okay, cool, you know what, like, I know this guy's in this space, I know what this person does, what, let me find out what their thoughts are. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what's your opinion, what's your view? Because when you think you know everything and you think you're perfect, that is the first sign of when your empire starts to crumble.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts. I always say everyone's a teacher and everyone's a student. Literally, like everybody. Like, I genuinely feel like everybody can teach me something.
100%.
You know what I'm trying to say?
100%.
So, yeah.
Even if it's what not to do.
Exactly that. Like, we all walk so many different walks of life. I'm a big believer in experience. And I can't be everywhere to experience everything, if that makes sense. So
yeah, absolutely.
There's always someone that can teach me something, even if it's like to do with like transport in a certain area. Like, I can learn off them. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's kind of like the mindset that I'll go with.
I can tell, man. I can tell, and it's definitely the mindset of a successful person. It's weird because I've spoken to so many people, and that's what the podcast is all about. Because the idea of starting this podcast is, okay, if there's someone listening out there who may be down and out, and they're thinking this is just difficult to actually climb this mountain, it's just hearing the stories of different people and what they've been through. And I've heard so many stories now that and there's certain patterns that you start to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's okay, cool. Well, all of them have done this. Most of them have done this. Okay, cool. So this is, if you want to be successful, this is the sort of thing that you should be looking out for. And that sort of humility and that ability, and that yearn for continuous learning is definitely a key attribute to successful people.
Absolutely. I always tell this story that when I was a lot younger, there was one of my friends that, and we used to banter him, innit? It's like, if he wants to know something, he used to just go and ask it. And he was brazy. Like, someone he doesn't know, he would go and speak to them so he can get information of the person that they know. That was very, very extreme, innit? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And when you're younger and immature, it's kind of like, I don't want to be a big bro. To anyone listening out there to this, ask for information. It's a cheat code. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If someone's done it before you, ask. In this life, there's no room or space for I don't want to seem like a beg. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And what you'll find is that people who are in the position that you want to be in, they don't see stuff like beg. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
100%.
A lot of these guys have got mentors anyway, so they really understand the value in, right, this person's come to ask me this. Sure, let me try and change someone's life and give them some game, innit? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
100%. You actually appreciate that stuff. But you know the one, when you said that, you know what was going through my head? Burna Boy's tune.
What's that?
Dangote,
bro.
Dangote, still they find money. If he's a billionaire,
bro,
and he's still looking for stuff, who am I? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I'll ask whatever I need to ask to get to where I need to get to, right?
Bro, it's so true. It's so true, bro.
Facts. So, bro, like, what does success actually mean to you?
It's hard to measure. I'm glad you mentioned the Dangote tune, in it, because that, I think the one thing that I learned recently, not recently, but in the last 5-7 years, and I think as you get older, you start to learn about yourself, is that success for me can't be tied to money, because you just mentioned Dangote. And he's still pushing. Is Dangote successful or not? Even Burna Boy is singing about Dangote, saying that, right, he's still making bread. How can I sleep? But is Burna Boy successful? Of course he is. So I think that's where you start tweaking it. And for me, success is like impact on others. And that can be others as in your family. Are you able to send your kids to private school? It doesn't even have to be money related. Are you able to give your kids the freedom to explore their talents or whatever it is, away from family? Are you able to have an impact on others? Some people have gone through life and their life's work might be philanthropy, or not even philanthropy. It might just be charitable work where it doesn't pay that well, but the impact is huge. And what they may have done is taken 1,000 ex-offenders, got them into jobs, and now they can provide it for their family. Is that person successful? Of course they are. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So for me, success is all about impact, and impact comes in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways for us, innit? And I won't lie. Some elements of impact of success to me are what I can do for my family, like time freedom, location freedom, and so on and so forth. But a huge part of it is impact. How many lives can I impact with the work that I do, basically? So that's
powerful, and that actually reflects in the work that you do and the way that you give information. You can tell that you genuinely actually want people to take this information, do something with it, because you know what impact it's going to have in their life. So that really comes through in your work. But it's interesting, like that question. I've only got 2 set questions, that one and the final question, right? So I've heard all of the answers. Only a few people, I'm not going to say the names, and you guys know who you are. Only a few people have kind of given that answer of impact. And I'm not saying like that's, it's like a special thing, but to me, it gives me a door into the mind and the heart of someone when that's the answer. Because let's be honest, you know, when people say what does success mean to you, even me, you're like, my first thing that I go to is my family. Is, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me make sure that we're good. Let me make sure everything's happened. And listen, I've also got a giving heart. You know, I come from nothing, right? So I think naturally, when I look at the way people used to look at me, it just naturally wants to make me help people who may not be in as privileged a situation that I am now. Yeah. But when I think what does success mean to me, it's not actually monetary. But I know that I need to make money to make that happen. Exactly that. So money is the tool, basically. Money is the tool. And I think that even what you said about, you first think about family, like I mentioned, I think about family as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, it is still serving, or it's still a giving attitude, basically, because I know the kind of man you are, and it's similar to me. You could be doing 9 till 11 p.m. or whatever it is, but so long as the family is good, you know that you're doing what you need to do, basically. You know what I'm trying to say? And obviously, that is something that I think that you could look at that and see success. But just on the money is a tool thing. One thing I've been discussing a lot recently is that I completely agree that money is the tool that can get us there. One thing that people
don't do though is that they only look to a lot of people only look to the money. Do you get what I'm trying to say? What you've described is that you've looked at the tangible things that you see as successful, or I may look at the things that give me happiness, spending time with friends and family, going abroad, blah, blah, blah. So I've looked at the end goal of where I want to get to. And then I've looked at money as the tool to get me there. But sometimes when you just chase money only and you're not really focusing on what does make you happy, it's kind of like it's an endless game.
Endless.
Whoever is number one on the rich list is the only one that's not really, and he's probably working harder than the guys that are chasing him. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
100.
He's probably working harder than the guys that are chasing him.
100.
So it's kind of like, I feel like money is a tool. Let's not water that down whatsoever.
But how much money is enough? If you're just chasing money, when you get to a meal, there's someone that's got 10. There's someone that's got 100.
Exactly.
A billy.
So look at the tool. Look at what you need to do to make you happy, basically. And just make sure this is the key thing. Enjoy the process too. As much as you can anyway. Because like we are talking about, the need to succeed. We all know there's an element of sacrifice that goes into it. So there's that period, the graft period. You know what I'm trying to say?
Do you know what? I've been listening to a lot of Alex Hormozi recently. And you know, what you've just said there is that is pretty much the core of his message. Like, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to just understand that there is a sacrifice to be made. You know, so for example, people say, okay, cool, you know, I want to quit my job. And they say, okay, I'm going to replace my income with what I'm actually making from my entrepreneurship. My side gig is what people call it. But people want to do a side gig, but they want the income from the side gig to replace the income where they're working 8-9 hours a day. But you want this to be a side gig. So how's this going to make you more money when you're doing? So like, you've got to think about it, make it make sense.
Yeah.
You have to work double hard.
Well, you have to work both of them.
You have to work both of them.
Both of them until one takes over.
Until one takes over, and then you can have it.
People don't get that. I mean, I don't want to put anyone down, but for most of the people, that is what you need to do. Like, a lot of people actually don't get it. But if you want the side income to overtake the main income, something that you've gone to uni for maybe, and now you're working 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day, bro, you gotta work 8 hours a day, then come home and do the side gig, bro.
It's a second shift
for like 2 years, baby.
It's a second shift, but like if you look at and you know, Alex Hormozi talks about time horizons. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things, in the horizon of your life, 2 years is
nothing.
Tiny
bit of work.
So really, it might seem like it's really hard work. And guess what? It is really hard work. But if you do this hard work for this very short period in the long horizon of your life, then the rest of your life transforms forever.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, this is the information that we're trying to give our kids when we're saying, go to school, stay in class, get your exams, do all of this. I know you don't want to do it. I know it's difficult, but you've got to do it. Trust me. I'm your dad. I'm your mom. I see the future. But yet we don't take that same example in our lives and we're saying, I want to sacrifice, but I don't really want to sacrifice too much. And you think you just make that sacrifice now so you can actually have the better future, right?
Yeah. And everything's relative, right? And I know that we all live different paths and it's relative to us, isn't it? But I think that sometimes it's good to take examples from real life, basically, do you know what I'm trying to say? And then use that to ask yourself, like, it's hard, but can I actually do it? Is it possible for me? I always give the example that I used to work in enterprise rent-a-car when I first came out of uni. And anyone that works at enterprise, it's an American company, so they've got like a real hard shift mentality. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot worse jobs in it. But I always give this example that like when the branch closes at 6, quite often in the winter, you know, in the UK it's dark, 7 p.m. We'll have to deliver cars to corporates, but before we deliver it, we have to wash the car. And sometimes we'll be washing the car outside in the rain.
Serious?
And in enterprise, you have to wear a suit. So washing the car in the rain outside in the suit, innit? So when I finally left that job and went to banking, we used to work with like some Eastern European drivers, innit? And sorry if you've heard this story a million times from me saying it, but the guy was like, I thought, oh yeah, calm, going banking it. Like, I knew it was a good job, and enterprise you can rank up and make good money in it. But I was going to banking and I didn't really think nothing of it in it. And then the Eastern European guy that I was cool with, he was like, "Rah, like you're going to the bank here, so you get to sit down on a chair all day. You get aircon, you get to control the temperature." And I wasn't thinking about these things, and I was like, "Fam, it's true." Do you know what I'm trying to say? You're not thinking of those little tweaks whereby what you could be doing could be much harder. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And I'm always taking these little nuggets in life, innit? And I feel like I took that to the bank here, and that kind of made me more aggressive. It was like, cool. Even though the intensity, the physical toll that the jobs have on my body is gone down, let me bring it up again by doing something else. So that's why when I went into banking, I was simultaneously studying in the evening, basically, to try and make myself earn more through like mortgage advice and stuff like that. And that's actually how I came to being a mortgage advisor.
Wow, that's such a. I haven't actually heard that, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful mindset, because what tends to happen, and this is what happens with managers, right? You know, you work hard, you're just doing a shift, and then you get promoted to management. And now it's like, yeah, I've done my thing, yeah. So it's time to like relax, and I'm gonna tell you lot to work hard and do all of that sort of stuff, right? But actually, the people who elevate and go all the way to the top, this is if you want to go down the corporate route, which there's nothing wrong with that as well.
Yeah.
The people who elevate all the way to the top is they look at, okay, cool, I'm management now. I need to be working even 10 times harder, because now the levels are different. If I want to catch the guy above me, there's levels to this.
Yeah.
So that means now I've got to put in that same graft, if not more, than I was doing before to actually get to that level. But sometimes it's easy to just take your foot off the pedal and say, well, you know what? I've made it. I can relax now.
And this is the thing about entrepreneurship, because you can't actually do that.
Nah.
You can't actually take your foot off the pedal.
Nah.
Bro, literally in entrepreneurship, you kill what you eat. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You have to go out there and get it. Everybody, you have to go out there and get it. Like, I've always had that on an entrepreneurship mindset, but I guess it was only about 2.5 years ago where I quit the corporate world banking. Because remember, I've been doing a lot of things. Like, for context, just before I quit work, I was taking my laptop up to North England, 6 a.m. in the morning, recording a TV show whilst doing my Microsoft Teams with the team I was managing in the bank. But I'm recording a TV show. I'd get back to the hotel about 4 p.m. I'd then do my day job at the bank, at the American bank, basically. Do my day job for about 6 hours. And then after that, I'd create content for Bricks with Tips, then handle my property portfolio on the side, innit? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And this is what we're talking about.
Craft.
Sometimes you have to do both of them at the same time. Eventually left the corporate world about 2.5 years ago. I went fully self-employed.
Let's talk about that, though, because I was going to come to that. But I was just enjoying the flow of the conversation and just got a little bit carried away. You know what I'm saying? But like, because it's easy to, to look at you now and look at everything you do and say, raw, this guy is killing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we know it's never just like, that's not how it all starts.
Yeah.
So let's just take it back a little bit to like, who were you? If we said like, let's start at college. Yeah. What did you do at college?
What did I study?
Yeah.
Biology, chemistry, maths, and business studies.
Right, you got your brain box in it.
Do you know what? I wasn't.
Yeah,
I didn't even.
brain box, bro. Come on, you can't be telling me.
But I didn't bash work, though. I didn't do sick in there.
You personally chose to do biology and science and maths. Listen, there's something up there.
Do you know what's so funny? I feel like those subjects tell a lot to my personality. Do you know why? I promise you, I'm just casting a wide net. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was casting a wide net. I knew that if I got biology and chemistry and maths, they're respected so well that if I wanted to do something that's not in them whatsoever, if I wanted to do media studies, they'll have it.
100%.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I was just trying to keep my options open, basically.
That makes sense.
But some of those topics were a madness, bro.
That makes sense. Like, what were you like though? Back then, because even for you to be thinking like that, there's some intelligence there. Just saying, okay, you know what? Even though I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, I know that these subjects are respected in the marketplace. Because that's the thing about uni, right? A lot of people go to uni and study madness. And when I'm saying a lot of people, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah.
I went and did some ridiculous business studies, generic. That's not really going to get me anywhere unless I practice business, right? But, having that intuition and say, okay, actually, you know what? If I do something that gives me a wide enough net, then whatever happens, I can land.
Yeah.
Like, so what were you like as a person? So forget like the studying sort of thing. What were you like as a person back then?
I think that one thing I kind of realized early on is that there's benefits of not doing stuff in the line that society or school or whatever tells you to do it.
How did you realize that? Is that natural to you? Is that for like lived experience? Is that for like parenting? What gave you that understanding?
I think it's a mixture between parenting, culture as a Nigerian, and 3, your environment. So if I talk about your environment first and parenting, are, as a young black man living in London, you're surrounded by people that, I spoke about not following the lines of society. Well, you're surrounded by people that may do crime, unfortunately. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And they're not on taking the proper routes, basically. And one thing I always say is that crime is not good in any case, but a lot of the people that do crime, and some people are forced to crime to a certain extent, a lot of them have got an entrepreneurial mind. There is transferable skills in a lot of things they do. Anyways, I'll speak about the crime, and then I'd say that was balanced out in myself with my parents. I come from a good household. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Both of my parents, Christians, grew up in the church. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's kind of like I was aware of that world, but my parents kind of brought those values, and I feel like it created a good balance in me and my brothers, basically. We kind of got exposed to both worlds, basically. And then the other thing I'll say is, you know, Nigerian culture, like we and this comes from parents and just our culture in general, certain things are just drilled into us. Like people don't understand the power of the tongue. And I think that as a Nigerian, I fully understand the power of the tongue. Things like, he doesn't have two heads. It makes you just think that, listen, even if you don't want to do something, it's like you'll blame yourself. It's my fault that I don't want to do it. I didn't go hard enough. And the reason why you've got that mindset is because it's true. They don't have two brains. Do you get what I'm trying to say? If you don't hustle, you don't chop. All these statements that we have that we kind of like grow up with, yeah, it's kind of like it kind of gets like built into you, basically, and you start taking that in life. So I think that's kind of where I was always just how do I say trying to get the best out of every situation that I'm in it. And with stuff like picking the topics, I just did something broad. I hadn't decided at the time. I said to myself, I'll decide later. Even when I went into university, I studied economics because I could do economics, you could do accounting, economics, so banking, business, you know what I mean? Vague topic. I said, yeah, cool. And it's always those things, like, even when I talk about getting into, when I was in uni, one of my dreams, and I think one thing about your dreams can change. I think that's the key thing to tell people. But when I was in uni, one of my dreams was getting into like JP Morgan. Don't know why. JP Morgan. I wanted to get to JP Morgan. Come on. Yeah. So I was in uni, applied for grad schemes, didn't get into any grad schemes. And that's when I went to one of my friends.
Big economics.
Boy. And that's when I went to economics. I mean, went to enterprise because one of my boys bussed me. Cut long story short, I ended up working in JP Morgan. But whenever I describe it to people, I always say, we had to go through the back door. Do you get what I'm trying to say? We had to bust the back door down, basically. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Because you came from enterprise.
Exactly.
You had the whole uni degree, economics, all of that. That didn't get you in. And then you went for enterprise.
Went here. And I think that's the same principles as like before in picking the topics, isn't it? You just find your way to make it happen, basically. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And that can come from a number of ways. Once again, it's thinking outside the box. They were like...
Why didn't you just give up on that, though? Because, you know, you've worked hard. You had this dream, JP Morgan, and then now you're applying for these grad schemes. And you end up in enterprise. Why don't you just say, you know what, it's not going to work? Because
when you say, you know what, it's not going to work, unless there's an answer for what is going to work, you can't say that, if that makes sense. And that's something that when I was growing up, I realized that really frustrated me. I hate hearing about problems with no solutions. I can't stand it. This isn't working. Let's say we're working on something and it's, this isn't working. It's like, please, when you say it's not working, can we talk about what the solution is to try and make it work? Or when we think it will be working? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I remember, this is a completely unrelated story, but it's kind of related. I remember I went to, last year summer, I went to Ghana, innit? And I checked into one hotel. Everybody knows that sometimes service and that could be slow in Ghana, innit? So I checked into a hotel, innit? And I was like, I came downstairs and I was like, boss, the Wi-Fi's not working. And it's like, he was like, no, it's not working. I was like, okay, cool. Getting frustrated. He said, do you know when it'll be up? No, we don't know when it'll be up. I couldn't believe it. No intention to solve the issue.
Like, are you gonna?
Are we gonna?
A little explanation.
Yeah. So, I digress. So, you just got to find solutions. Like if you can't just say, I give up, basically. And do you know what? Pivoting isn't wrong. Pivoting isn't giving up. I guess the difference between pivoting and then giving up is that pivoting, you've got a plan to go into something else. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So you pivot, you adapt based on your scenarios, based on your skills, maybe, innit? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't give up. I tried a number of ways to get into like the banking world, doing extra exams, like I mentioned, taking unconventional routes. I think that's one thing that people need to learn, that you got to be comfortable doing. So sometimes there'll be like a contract role, and I know someone who knows the guy that's quite high up there. So I'll be emailing him. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Emailing the guy discussing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
Can you give us an example of how you did it? Because you've been on that journey, how you did it. So maybe that will give some good context to the people listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had one option to get into JP Morgan, which I missed. So one of my friends managed to get into JP Morgan through a contract role, and he knew the hiring manager. So he was like, boys, don't worry. I'm speeching this guy. When a role comes up, I'll let you man know about the role. So you're not taking a conventional route. This isn't necessarily going through HR. The guy in the bank kind of calls the shots, basically. Basically, he's not like gang like that. He's not the man them, but he can help in it. So he said that there's one role there in it. So I applied, did an interview. The interview went well, and one of my brethren applied and did the interview and went well in it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And this is a very interesting lesson. My tight brethren like this in it. So there's only something to learn from a situation like this. Anyways, some time has passed in it, and I've let the guy assess my application. I know my application's good, assess it and come back to me. He never came back to me. But my other brethren that applied as well, after the interview, he emailed the guy like once a week, twice a week. He told me as well, innit? I'm trying to say, but I was like, I don't want to pester on. Email the guy twice a week. Third week, he got the job. The guy didn't even come back to me.
Wow.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that let me know that, do you know what? Yeah, sometimes persistence and following up, it has an impact. If you want to win, you can't be doing the bougie. They'll come back to me. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Shakara for them.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Trying to do. Oh, my application's good. So yeah, eventually I got in because I did some exams which got me into. So I didn't go all the way. I did some exams. I went into HSBC, which isn't as prestigious as JP Morgan, and then I started learning from some contractors that were a level above me. Started learning what they do. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
What do you mean contractors?
So in banking, sometimes you've got the permanent staff that are working somewhere, and then the contractors will be working around the corner. You know, they put contractors around the corner. Okay. Yeah, but they're doing a similar role to us, but they were a bit more senior.
They don't mix them. They
don't mix them, bro.
The floor.
Bro, they don't.
Giving them ideas.
You see, contractors, they're guns for hire. That's what they call them. So I used to go and talk to them, gist them, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you can learn this, and this, or here are some skills you can pick up, and blah blah blah." So once again, asking, I learned a lot of game from them. I did that to my CV as skills that I now know. And then I applied for JP and I got into JP.
Wow.
And then shortly, like a year after JP, I left after all of that. Because I guess
you got to the mountain and thought, is this it?
This is it, man. And I think this is why, especially in this country, in other countries it's different, but especially in this country, sometimes all you need to do, and don't get me wrong, the corporate world is for some people and you can enjoy your life in the corporate world. Before I go into, I'll say what I'll say, what I want to say after. But you got to have like some kind of foresight. Like I looked at my manager's manager. And then I looked at the time it might take me to get to their stage. And I said to myself, is that what I want? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Is that what I want? And it was no. So that's when I started doing other things. But at the same time, the corporate world it does suit some people. Like I often say to people that like, there's many people who are living in, and they're always talking on London, they're always talking on the internet. Can you live in London on a 30k salary and blah, 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 blah. Listen, there's plenty of people in London, couples, 25k each. They've got their little dog. They're happy. It's true though, isn't it, bro?
It's true. It's
true. Like, focus on what suits you in it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But if you want to be an entrepreneur and you kind of want certain things, then there's this route in it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But if you don't have that entrepreneur spirit, it's fine. Like we mentioned earlier, focus on what makes you happy. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because there are a lot of people that are happy and are happy in the situation that they're in it. So focus on happiness.
100%. Bro, that's so powerful, man. That's so powerful. But what you said there is so true, because people are chasing, when they're talking about success, they're chasing actually the external version of success from someone else who they perceive to be successful, where actually the life that you're living, if you could actually swap with them for a day, they would love that. You know what I'm saying? Like the peace, the quiet, not really having to be chasing. Do you know what I'm saying? You've got to really sit down and think to yourself, like, what does success actually mean to me? And I understand that in this day and age, look, I would say there does need to be some element of financial stability.
Definitely.
Forget living in London. It doesn't actually matter where you live. There's got to be an element of financial stability. But, what level does that need to be at? Like you said, if you got your 50 grand household income coming in, you're paying your bills, you got a little change left extra, dog, whatever your preference is, just all animals are welcome. Then and if you're cool with that, then that's fine. Not everyone is chasing money and wants the hustle and the bustle and want to live this extravagant life, right? So I hear what you're saying on that one. So, but what happened to you though? Because you kind of got to the top, you realize, well, actually, I am ambitious. I want what that guy has, but I also understand that there's different routes to achieve that. And if I carry on this lane that I'm currently at, the timeline, horizon that I was talking about again, is the math ain't really mathing for me.
Yeah.
Right? There's other options. Listen, JP Morgan doesn't pay small money, yeah? Yeah, okay, cool. So when you're thinking all of this, there's got to be something in the back of your mind as well going, hey, this other path is a little bit difficult though. Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? So how do you make that
jump,
that decision?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. For context, I worked in compliance in JP Morgan. So the salary was good, but it was an investment banker. You get what I'm trying to say? But it was still good. I'd say that one thing that's also worth noting is that all through all of my career, probably about 6, 7, 8 jobs, I was invested in property all the while. Because I kind of knew the fundamentals of making your money work for you. So I was investing, but I wasn't full out running the business, if that makes sense.
I mean, let's just touch on that before we go to the question. Hopefully, if you can remember the question, because that's important. Because I'm guessing that gives you some wings to be able to fly.
Absolutely.
Right? But when you say you understood the fundamentals, bro, how? Because this is a big thing. You said you're already investing in property, you've already got assets. How old were you at this stage?
So this is anything between 22 and maybe about 28.
A lot of people are not even thinking about getting into the property like that, right? So how are you already an investor at that stage?
It's a number of things, right? I studied economics, so I kind of knew the fundamentals. I remember I mentioned that I worked as a mortgage broker. So my period as working as a mortgage broker, I'm always talking about familiarity to a situation. It's kind of like if you only hung about with professional football players, and you had a kickabout with them every single week. When you go and play with normal, regular people like me, you'd be bullied. They're getting it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because you're at that kind of familiarity. That's what you see. And when I'm working as a mortgage broker and I'm seeing every single type of client and I'm the one approving their mortgage, it becomes less of a task to me, if that kind of makes sense, because I'm just so familiar with it, basically. So that allowed me to buy my first property, and then I started investing after that. And then also just the fundamentals of I was interested in business, reading books like Your Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was one of the first books I read. That was one of the first books I read. And then just understanding getting your money to work for you as well, because they always say, there's only so many hours you can throw into a day job. Do you get what I'm trying to say? You're trading your labor for money. How much labor do you have on a daily basis? You need to kind of throw some money on it as well. And I think that the important thing to say off the back of that is that sacrifice, as we mentioned earlier, there was some element of sacrificing some of my money that I could be using for this and that, because I had to put it into property, and whether it's maintenance or sacrificing my time as well. I'm at work. Tenant is panicking, washing machine's flooded. It's not really a big deal, but I've got to sort it out to kind of keep them cool. So all of those kind of things, basically.
Amazing.
So investing through the period, right? And then, as we mentioned before, I was quite comfortable doing everything at the same time until you can't. So
just going back to you making that decision, how did you sort of quantify that decision to leave this dream that you'd been working towards?
Absolutely. So at the time I was doing TV bricks with tips and working a day job. I was at Bank of America at the time, and what I did was, the prior year before I left, I just prayed and said, God, can you lead me? Let me know if I'm going to leave this thing or not, innit? And I wanted to leave in September. September didn't really work out, and then in January, I got a call from TV saying that, cool, we just been commissioned for a new series. We're going to start filming in February. We need you. Now, bear in mind, I mentioned that I was filming through the pandemic. So I'm able to take my laptop up north, work from home. The next day after TV called me, my job sent out an email saying that cool, all work from home is season
Oh my Lord.
in February. So
Lord.
now it's literally
Timeline.
we spoke about it. I can't do both. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But because I've been building, because I've got and the crazy thing is I already had one child and I had one on the way that July. So it's kind of like, this is now or never.
This is crunch time.
This is now or never, innit? So I basically had to think about it, and I made a decision to say that, you know what? The ceiling at the banking world wasn't the ceiling that I think that I can get, basically. I kind of need like somewhere with no ceiling, basically. That's where I'm going to thrive, basically. So yeah, I just handed in my notice with work, and then basically got to it. And yeah, man, I always thank God, because the next month I had a huge, like 2 weeks after I left, I had like a huge like ad, like TV kind of ads, internal comms with a big bank that landed on my lap, and it was just kind of, I felt like it was God saying that, don't worry, you're cool. I got you. But I will say something that's really, you hear about the good, you got to hear about the bad as well with it. Not the bad, but the
not so good.
They're not so good in entrepreneurship, innit? So like things were going well, bro. Recording TV all the time, got that big juicy ad, paid really, really well. I'm obviously got my property income, TV income, and I got all of like the other things that I do as well, speaking engagements and whatnot. Things are going well with it. So in the summer, yeah, my dad's really, really good at golf. Really good, like proper good. I've said it 3 times, yeah. Really good. So I know how to play a little bit of golf when I was young. So I was like, man, let me start going golf. So I just started going golf on like Wednesdays and Thursdays, not working, by the way. Just going golf, coming home, chilling.
You were living the retirement lifestyle.
Bro, I don't know what I was doing. Because in your mind, sometimes you have ideas of what entrepreneurship is. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Anyways, you know how like these things work, whether it's TV, whether it's a property business, whether it's brand deals, whether it's speaking engagements. I mentioned about killing what you eat. Now, I've killed and I've got harvest, but I'm eating the harvest, but I'm not killing anything else. Basically, I'm eating the harvest,
not hunting anymore.
but I'm not hunting anymore.
Fridge is getting empty.
I'm not hunting anymore. So I'm not hunting. I'm saying, hold on, this thing is going down incredibly quickly. So I have to start hunting. But remember hunting, when you hunt, you don't find your deer straight away. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I'm hunting and I successfully found something maybe a month and a half, but you know how the game goes. Thankfully, property is like the foundation, but you know how the game goes. You hunt, you find, cool, you secure it. Okay, cool. Let's do this in a month's time from now. After you've done it in a month's time from now. Okay, cool, your payment's going to come in the next 30 days. Bro, I'm glad I had that lesson early on.
Smaller pieces from the fridge, right?
Yeah.
Trimming.
Like, yo, easy on the juice. Put it back. We're not drinking that one today. So, yeah, man. I think that was a valuable lesson. It's always good to say those things that with, and that goes back to what we mentioned earlier. With entrepreneurship, you can't take your foot off the gas.
No.
Always go. And I think that after a while, you'll know if entrepreneurship is good, is for you, because even though it's hard and stressful, you'll learn to love it, if that makes sense. 100%. Like some certain days, like if like I know like my wife has to go out with the kids like on the weekend on something. So sometimes I'll be about, okay, I'll bang out my work 9 till 12, watch football, then go again at 5 till. It's weird, isn't it? Like to say that, yeah, I get to bang this out. Like I'm going, my younger brother moved to Dubai, innit? So I'm going to go check him at the end of the month. And it's like, I told him, don't take any holiday. I want you to be out so I can bang a little work on, bang some work on the balcony. You know, I might go to the mall, get a coffee with my laptop, bang it out. I'll be doing 2x, 3x, you know what I'm trying to say? So yeah.
I love that, man. That's so important. But also, there was something important that you mentioned in the middle of all that. When the opportunity came knocking, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like, you have to take the opportunity in the moment of the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it might not always be there.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity came knocking, you were already prepared and ready because you've been grinding. You've been putting the work. You've been creating content. That's why you got the opportunity in the first place.
Yeah.
But that also prepared you, for what was coming. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I think that it's just testament. And one thing I'd encourage everybody to do who's listening is that you keep on working when no one's looking. Does that make sense? You spoke about the fact that I'd been investing or I'd been creating content, so I was ready for the opportunity. But even before that, I always give the example that like my first YouTube video, didn't get that many views. It took flipping long to record, took flipping long to edit. The audio wasn't that good. Everyone was always complaining about the audio not being that good on the content and stuff like that when I used to make YouTube videos early on. But it's like a solid year of banging that. When the opportunity arose, when Channel 4 hit me up and said that we reckon you'll be good for television, I was prepared. 1 year of filming everything myself. They're telling me to pull up, don't worry, we've got cameraman, we've got sound man, all you need to do is present. It's kind of like, bro,
what?
I create content like every single week. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm prepared for this, basically. And that's why it's, they always say, keep doing the work, even when no one's looking, just keep pushing. Consistency is key. Because when the opportunity does arise, like we mentioned, like that opportunity arises, then I got a kid on the way, so I had to take a very, very serious decision. It was one or the other. It was quite binary. Yes or no, if that kind of makes sense. If I hadn't been doing the work prior, I might have been tempted to say, no, I've got to stay in banking. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
it's a much harder decision, right?
Yeah, it's a much harder decision.
But just kind of going back to, doing something, even though no one is watching, the truth is someone is always watching. First of all, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not doing the things that you should be doing, what you're telling yourself is that you're someone who doesn't do the things that they say they will be doing.
Yeah.
And then that becomes your personality,
Yes.
which then becomes your personal reality.
Yes.
All right. Jeez.
Jeez, no, you're spitting. Hey! We'll clip that one up. We'll clip that one up.
Come on.
I think that what you said is bang on, and it's advice that I give to a lot of young people as well. And I talk to them on that level as well. But I always talk to them on the fact that being authentic, it just allows you to be you. In the long run, it's easier. You haven't got to... thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast, but I don't have to prepare. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Because I'm not pretending to be anyone.
Just talking.
Yeah, it's like if you step in pretending to be someone, you have to pretend all the time. Bro, I'm someone that's tired, I can't be pretending every day. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
You forget.
Bro.
You forget.
Forget how this hard work, bro.
I did not tell yesterday.
Bro, do you know what I'm trying to say? It doesn't make sense, fam. It doesn't I'm sorry to take you here, but that's why like infidelity, bro, it's hard work, Infidelity, bro, how many lives can you keep up with, bro? Live the easy
stress.
life, just be who you say you are, bro. It's a madness. So yeah, man, I think that authenticity is key, bro.
I heard that, but also the key point I was trying to make is actually, you said no one was watching, but then Channel 4 called you up.
Yeah, it's true.
So even though you're not realizing that people are watching,
they're
silently watching. That's what we talk about, these social media metrics, people looking at the likes and all that sort of stuff. I had one of my students recently just hit me up, whatever, he's not one of my students. And he just said, I don't know this guy. He doesn't like or comment on any of my stuff.
But he's been watching.
Yeah. And now he's like, you know what, you're the guy, to actually help me and mentor me towards what I want to do. So now I'm reaching out to you. Channel 4, they've been watching you. They've been seeing the progress. They've been seeing the dead audio. And then they saw that the audio's got better. and then they saw that, this content's getting lit now. I like the substance of what this guy's talking about. Do you know what? I think you're going to be great because I've seen your evolution.
Yeah.
Right? So even when you don't think people are watching, that's why you still got to keep doing the right things because people are watching.
Absolutely.
Like one of my, Jamie York.
Yeah.
Jamie York, he's the first guest I had in the podcast, and I remember.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and I remember something that he said on that. I said, right. He said he was talking about himself, and he said, "Look, I'm going to get to the 100 million and above. Right, I'm going to get there, but I don't focus on that because for me, what's important is the inputs." The things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis is what's going to allow me to eventually get there. But if I'm focused on that, I'm going to take my eyes off the nitty-gritty. Because if you're living the 100 millionaire lifestyle in your mind, of course you're not going to be doing the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be trying to be making things as easy as possible for yourself.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing the grind on a day-to-day basis, the inputs, as he calls it, the 100 million is the output. But if you focus on the inputs every single day, that's actually what's going to get you there.
Absolutely. That's why people talk about getting 1% better every day and stuff like that. Because it's the day-to-day. It's like the little things that you do on a day-to-day, the behavioral changes, and just working on yourself every single day and do the nitty-gritty. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
What's your biggest advice for someone who's out there right now? Because I know you speak with a lot of younger generation. A lot of your messaging is actually not just the younger generation, but just people who are maybe they haven't quite landed on their feet yet, or maybe they're trying to figure out what their next steps are in life, right? What would be, obviously we're property people, yeah? We're property guys. What would be your advice to someone who's just looking from the outside and saying, I want to get involved in this property thing, but I don't know where to start?
I would say there's so many things that you can do in property. Property is great, and I think that the most recent years we've seen so many content creators, and the beautiful thing is that there's so much room for everyone. And what it also creates is that the people that are coming up have a wealth of information. Now, the key thing about property, I think that what people need to do, because I get that question a lot of the time, how do I get into property? I think the first thing you need to do is work out what you would like to do in property. Pin that to your skill set, your goals, and then the time and the capital that you have available. Those 4 things. So watch everybody's content for free. You get what I'm trying to say? Watch what everybody does, and it's so beautiful that everybody provides free content as well. Because the content that we provide is free because it gives you the information. When you find out that, do you know what, this is what I want to do, I want to be an Airbnb property manager, then you'll go get a coach that's going to help you implement the theory that you've been learning. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But the key thing I mentioned is that if you want to get into property as a whole, property is very, very broad. Consume everyone's content and see which strategy is it. Property development. Is it BRRRs? Is it rent to supported living? Is it buy and buy to lets and giving them to the council? What is it basically? Do you know what I'm trying to say that you want to get into? Consume everybody's content, decide on what you want to do, and then you can take it from there. It's
so powerful, bro. And I always kind of, I always answer that question in a similar way because it's a question that always comes up, right? But I always say your goals or the property strategy that you decide to go for has to align with your goals.
Absolutely.
Right? Because depending on what you want to achieve, if you're someone who says, I want flexibility, I want freedom, I've got low capital, but I want to get into developments. It's like, bro, the math is not mathing. Yeah, it's not really. And listen, we know there's different ways you can get creative with finance, you can find investors, all of that sort of stuff. But actually, what's your current situation? What are the things that you would like to achieve? And then there is a property strategy for every single one of it.
Everyone.
Right? That's the beauty. Like there's so many, you just mentioned a few, there's even a few more on top of that.
Course,
right? You can actually just get involved in this by doing something which I think you're mentoring, which is deal packaging. Where it's okay, you know what? I'm just getting started in this. I want to understand this market a little bit more. What's the best way for me to understand it? Well, if I help other people find the deals that they're looking for, that's going to force me to understand all these different strategies. How do the numbers work? What areas actually work best? How do I package this deal that actually makes it enticing to an investor? These are all skills that you can now use in the future when you want to start investing in deals yourself.
Absolutely.
But actually, while you're learning and you're selling those deals to people, you're making money and you're banking what you can then use to do your own things in the future as well.
Well, this is where all of these conversations come full circle because you mentioned Jamie York, right? And I think if I remember correctly, he mentions that he came up with deal sourcing.
Yep.
So we're talking about someone who came up with deal sourcing and deal packaging, and 100 million plus is also in the conversation. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
So here's what we're talking about. He's built up the capital, now using that to buy dumb amount of properties.
Land, he's doing development.
You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So it's crazy.
100%. And that's the thing. People always think about, this is but I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. But you just got to think about where you're at, what your current circumstances are. There's all of these sets of things that sounds really, really great. But, if you're looking for cash flow, doing developments or doing buy to lets, right now it's not looking hot unless you can buy 10 buy to lets in one go. But if you're doing some essays, okay, I get one deal. That's cash flowing every single month. I get another one. That kind of increases my cash every single month. I get another one. That increases my cash every single month. Okay, cool. Well, I'm banking money. I get my first buy to let. This cash flow is still coming. But now I've bought a property. Yeah. So I'm saying, and then I buy another one. And then I buy another one. Before you know it, okay, you know what? Why don't I do a development next time? There's a flip deal that's come up where I can actually refurb this property. And that's just how things just starts to grow.
Absolutely.
But you have to start with the first one. Yeah. So you have to start with where you're at, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing, incredible. So like, what's in the plans for you, bro? Do you live in this country?
No.
Yeah, don't, bro.
I live in Nigeria.
You just came back from Nigeria. I'm talking about going back to Dubai. I'm like, what
No, you're not
is
serious.
this?
No, I do live in the country. Bro, it's social media though. It makes it seem like I'm abroad more than often than I am.
What you are though.
No, I'm not abroad
You are
often.
traveling,
Maybe like 3-4 times a year I travel.
Yeah.
Not that much.
Yeah.
Not that much.
Good.
Hoping to travel a lot more this year.
You said, man said not that much. Like, that's once every quarter. Yeah. Some people trying to get one.
Do you know what I think it is? The end of the year, to be fair, it was more than 4 times last year, but I think the end of the year is because I went to Tenerife in the end of November, then I went to Kenya, then I went to Ghana, then I was meant to go to Nigeria.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So it's all kind of in a short
condensed.
period of time.
Yeah. I was coming in and out. But yeah, what's up for next year? Focusing on 3 things actually. So I'm launching a platform called the Home Buyers Club, specifically for home buyers that want to buy in the next 12 months. So if there are any people that want to buy their first home, as in their property to live in, within the next 12 months, is a platform that offers professionals to help you in your journey, expert advice, online courses, a community, free webinars. We do giveaways, all built into one system. So you can use that to really progress because, as you know, like that's something that you can't get wrong, right? It's expensive mistakes that can be made in that process. Other than that, as you mentioned, I've got the deal sourcing program, which helps people understand the fundamentals of property investing, all of the strategies and how to package them and obviously sell them. Then obviously I'm a serviced accommodation operator. So just yesterday, actually, we started working with some people that we've got in a 12-week program of how to go from 0 to hero to being a serviced accommodation operator.
0 to hero, yeah.
Yeah, man. Honestly, man. Learning, I guess, what we're big on, my business partner, Dami, and I, is getting it right first time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So we kind of want to show you everything. So if someone who's a beginner is interested in it, we'll take them from everything to incorporating their company, getting their bank account, finding your first property, listing it, setting up the automations, all of this stuff in it, basically, and then look at scaling it in a 12-week period.
It's expensive getting it wrong the first time. That's what people don't understand. Like, it just makes sense to invest in getting it right the first time.
Absolutely.
Because once you set the foundations right, actually, I always say, the first 3 months or however long you're with me or you or whatever it is, that's not important. What's important is, it's like the deals you get in that period of time. It's not what's important. What's important is the foundations that you set in that time. Absolutely. Because that's what's going to give you the platform to scale to however big you actually want to scale, right?
Exactly. That initial investment in yourself can allow you to do whatever you want with it, if that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like any skill, really. I was going to say learning how to drive, but any skill, you've learned how to do it. Now you can take it to whatever you want to be. When you learn how to drive, you might use it for commuting, but one day you might use it for being an Uber driver, using it to make an income, or you might use it for this or that. Learning the skill is the key thing, and then you apply it, and your possibilities are endless, effectively.
Absolutely, bro. This has been sick, man. The time has gone quick,
innit?
What is going on? But you know what? I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you have done so much. You know what I'm saying, and you continue to do so much, and I know, like, the future. This is the first I've actually heard about this. It was the Home Buyers Club.
Yeah.
They mentioned like that. That just sounds like. It sounds like something that's needed. It sounds like something that's going to add so much value to a lot of people because on that ladder, there are so many ways to go wrong, bro.
Yeah.
So many ways to go wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? And being a part of like a reputable, because, you've got reputation, you've got your credibility, to think about. So that means these preferred service providers that you're referring people to, you have vetted the hell out of them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, to make sure that, okay, cool, this guy, you're not going to mug me up, you're not going to make me look silly, right? So for people to have that service, that one place where they can go to and they can first of all learn about property. So it's not just about, you want to buy, come and do this, but they can actually learn about property. They can go with the information. There's webinars, as you mentioned, and then when they actually want to get started, do you guys help them look for properties?
So we can give them feedback on like their property viewings and stuff. We give them tools that will help on their property viewing. We do webinars that teach you like what to look for in an area, how to find an area that suits you. We actually did that recently and looked at a lot of tools that you can plug where you work into, how much you prioritize schools, and it kind of uses AI to map where could be a good place for you to buy based on your affordability. So we recently did a webinar on that with some good friend of mine that run a platform called Mapper.
I said AI, now you lot taking it today. Hey, stop it. But that's amazing. And then, like you said, you've then got, provide whether that's solicitors, whether that's mortgage brokers, the people in that chain to actually then help you achieve. Because finding good ones. Like, people say, yeah, go and get a lawyer. If you get the wrong lawyer,
bro,
you get the wrong conveyancer.
Conveyancer's a peak one, isn't it?
Oh,
Conveyancers is a big one. I'm a mortgage broker, but I think there's a lot of good mortgage brokers. But the thing about conveyancers is that it's tricky because they work on a volume. Well, a lot of the nationwide ones, it's a volume-based business. So once you've paid them, you'll find they don't help you with anything.
Anything.
Like, I was very fortunate. Like, my very first conveyancer, she would give me feedback. Like, I don't understand this document. She'll go through it with me. These nationwide ones, you won't. The story for another day. But my first conveyancer that I was using, on the second property I bought, she saved / basically made me, I can't remember, anything between like 16 and 24K.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll tell the story really quickly. Basically, my mortgage offer came in a bit lower. So I asked them to lower the price. They didn't want to do it. Said, we're going back on the market. They put it back on the market. They found a new buyer at the new price. But there was pressure from the person above them in the chain to exchange quickly. So the new buyer messaged my solicitor and was like, can we buy the searches off you? People don't know that if you buy the searches, it can be a lot quicker. My solicitor was like, searches are already about 3 bills. If you want to keep pressure on that you want the property, don't sell the searches. If you can afford to lose the 3 bills, basically, don't sell the searches. And then I didn't know any of that in it. But having a conveyancer that tells you stuff like that is useful. So I was like, yeah, cool, now I'm not selling the searches. I still want the property. So basically, cut a long story short, the people that were given the pressure from above to make my vendors sell ASAP, they lowered their price so my vendors could lower their price for me. Ended up getting, I can't remember, anything between 16 and 24 bags off the property. Good conveyancers.
Yeah, well, why am I going to accelerate your process?
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. And that's the power of having, the right team, a good team.
Exactly.
Because they can save you. Like I said, they can make you money, but they can also save you, from losing money, so which I guess is pretty much kind of the same thing. But yeah, man, that sounds like an incredible service that you guys are offering. So congratulations on that, man. Congratulations. But bro, with everything that you've done, like, just think about where you've come from and think about what you've achieved. You've kind of gone to the top of the corporate. Instead of carrying that ladder, you decided, okay, I'm going to risk it, or I'm going to come back down. Not down, but vertical into something else and build that up again. You've done that now. That's opening all of these other opportunities. Like, with all of that being said, like, what remains your need to succeed?
What remains my need to succeed, with all of that being said? I don't want to say the same thing, but I think it is impact, but I can speak about it in 2 different ways. My family, as we mentioned before, my family is kind of in the forefront of everything I do. My parents set me up with a good foundation, good values, and so on and so forth. However, my parents, like many of my friends' parents, moved to the UK as adults and did an excellent job. They did jobs that I might not be able to do. Like a lot of people's parents worked in the post office and all of these things, in it, you know what I'm trying to say. And I guess with them, it's kind of like we're the ones that are born here. And that's fine. They set us up with a great foundation, but it was a foundation, keyword foundation. I say all of that to say is that there wasn't that many risks that I could take or my friends could take. What I mean by that is that if we had a passion for like poetry, bro, we have to study biology and chemistry. You know what I'm trying to say? Because there's an element of like, there's not that much risk that can be taken because what you have is a foundation. You don't have like, do you know what I'm trying to say? So I guess when it speaks to my family, I want to get to a stage where I can give my daughters freedom of choosing where they want to study, where they want to work. If you've got a passion for gymnastics, not everything, hopefully I can take money out of the equation. Because, like with wealthy people, it's kind of like they do what they love rather than, it's not linked to the income. I'm a big Afrobeat artist. I'm a big Afrobeat fan, should I say. And I'm always saying that sometimes you can tell with Davido's music, he's not making music for money. He's already rich. He's come from a rich family. He just loves making music, and you can kind of tell. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Very true.
And I feel like that's one thing that I want to provide for my family, whereby they don't have to link their passions to money now. You're just able to do what you enjoy, if that kind of makes sense. And then when it comes to impacts, there's a lot of impacts that you can have. I love speaking to young people, but I think that one thing I enjoy the most, right, is being able to give adults the ability to earn. what I mean by that is to create jobs or give people the skills that they can use it to provide for their families. The reason why I say that is that is real change. Like everybody needs to earn in it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That is real change. And there's nothing that I want from it. I genuinely get joy from it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I get joy from being able to, even if it's just a recommendation, right, speak to this person, he might be able to get you into this. Or speak to, bro, since we've been talking, how many people have I said to you, do you know what I'm trying to say? Because it's not something, it's not
going to start asking me for a referral package.
It's not even that, bro. It's not even that. It's like, you've asked me about something. I'm not the guy for that, but I know who is. And hopefully he could put you there. And I don't even follow up with them, bro. I'll send them to you. Hopefully something comes off it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't need to follow up with them. I don't need to follow up with you, because I genuinely get a joy from just like being that link and helping people succeed in it. So yeah, I guess that's a very long way to...
That was the perfect. You had to succeed at the end of it. That was the perfect way to end it. Mr. Tayo Oguntonade. Bricks and tips. Thank you very much, my bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
You are listening to the Need to Succeed podcast with Ibrahim Brahma. Make sure to like and subscribe for more episodes like this.